you need to operate from a place of abundance and not from a place of lack, because when you're creating something, it always has to come from a place of abundance. In only then it actually will make a difference and will impact other people. I did not think about making it as a money making business.
I did a barter collaboration, that was my first one, for a product worth 200 rupees. I still get goosebumps when I think about it.
On my first Himalayan trek, it kind of changed for me. It made me realize that travel is not just about visiting places, but it's also about transformation. It has a deeper meaning and it can actually change your life if you let it. You realize when you after you go there, because most of the time when you see on social media or media in general, they are mostly talking about the bad things or something bad news, right? But when you go to these places and experience it yourself is when you actually realize that stereotypes doesn't hold any merit and people are so warm and welcoming. And those are some things I think people realize only once they go to a particular place and they experience it themselves.
Hi, Raksha. Thank you so much for joining us today for this episode of the Working Women podcast. So, Raksha, I know because she did solo traveling, backpacking in Europe for 3 months after quitting her job. And that's how I came to know about Raksha. So, I'll open the mic to Raksha to introduce her a little bit and let's get the party started.
Hi, Shivi. Thank you so much for inviting me to this podcast. Looks like I'm in great company here. And happy to be part of this wonderful initiative that you're doing. Hi, everyone. I'm Raksha. I'm an engineer, marketer, travel blogger, and recently moved into being a tech creator and an entrepreneur. Yeah, it's always hard for me to introduce myself because I do a lot of things and I really don't know what to actually say. So this is going to be a difficult conversation for me for the next 1 hour, but I'm excited to get started.
But so many things to learn from you, Raksha, because you said so many things that you are just not a content creator, but also an entrepreneur. Now you're also starting to move from your travel vlogging into tech and technology, and you're trained engineer. So such an interesting and a different life journey that you've started with. So Raksha, tell me a little bit about how did you get into this world of content creation? How long ago was this? And what was your thought process when you started to think that, okay, now maybe I should quit my job and start to pursue the solo traveling and content on the side?
Yeah, I think for me, initially, like a lot of people in India, in Bangalore, I was an engineer, and then I moved to working in corporate. And while that was good, and I really enjoyed that independence of making money and being able to travel to places, I wanted more, and I think on my first Himalayan trek to Kuari Pass in Uttarakhand, that is when it kind of changed for me. It made me realize that travel is not just about visiting places, but it's also about transformation. It has a deeper meaning, and it can actually change your life if you let it. And that is when I started thinking about travel, and I wanted to do something in the travel field, but I did not know what. And at the time, this was, I think, in 2016. So travel blogging was also not a big thing in India. And I was just looking at a few travel bloggers who were there at the time, what they are doing. And first of all, I did not have any experience with writing. A lot of travel bloggers who get into travel blogging, they do have experience in writing, but I did not have any experience. So I did not really know if that was something for me. So I started writing on a community site called Tripoto. So I used to publish articles there about travel, and it was so difficult, so hard. And I used to take suggestions from friends. What do they think about writing? How do you get better? And things like that. And as some sort of a call, I actually got selected as one of the three people to go to Thailand with the Tourism Authority of Thailand. And this was just about a year from when I was thinking about travel and travel writing. And I got selected because I had a blog. Which was not even my own website, but I was writing there. So It was pretty cool, and I took it as a sign, and I started travel blogging. I bought the domain, and I started writing about travel, which made me realize that it's not just about writing. There's a lot of other things as well that goes behind the scenes, like taking good pictures, the SEO part of it, and the publishing the whole part, and then marketing the same. And that is where it came to like social media, and slowly Instagram also started picking up there, and I started posting pictures, which moved into videos. So yeah, it has been a long journey so far, and it has taught me so many things.
Thank you so much for sharing, Raksha. You you touched upon that we see these reels on Instagram, right? And these are these travel vloggers and they're traveling the world. But you bring into context that that's not everything that is to it, right? It's just not about taking good pictures or creating videos. You also have to have different sort of skill sets, which are content, really writing your thoughts and putting it on a paper so that a person can understand what you're trying to convey. And then also marketing your own blog. And then talk to me about, Raksha, the making aspect of this. How did you start to think that um, now I can create enough money through these additional streams that I might be creating so that it is enough for me to sustain this hobby at least for the next 1 year, 2 year, 3 years?
Yeah, so when I started writing blogs, I did not think about making it as a money-making business, because at that time, I don't think there were many people who were even making enough money from or being sustainable with a blog. But over time, it kind of happened, and you move towards it, and then you understand, okay, there are different avenues that might work. So one is, of course, sponsorship, where a brand pays you to publish on your website or publish on your channel, right? Like social media. Uh, and another is affiliate marketing, which is somewhere where you get paid if somebody buys something through your special affiliate link. So this could be for travel bloggers. It could be like hotels or tours, activities, or cars, rental cars, a lot of other things like that. So over time, you kind of learn about these things because I did not have a background in marketing. So this is something that I learned over time, what it's like actually to even make money on the internet, and what are the different avenues to do it. And of course, the other one is ads. When it comes to blogs or YouTube or Instagram, anyway, doesn't really have ad option. But yeah, YouTube, after a certain point, you can get monetized. So that is another way where you can make money with social media and blogging in general.
Okay, so just going back a little bit, Raksha, you started this in 2016, 17 is where you started to think through that I want to get into this content creation business and I want to become an entrepreneur and really want to run my own thing. So Raksha, just talk to me about your first sponsorship that you got. So that how did you get that email? And if you can talk about the numbers at that time, like how many followers did you have? How many views were you getting? And then what was the brand sponsorship that you got for the first time when you started?
Yeah, so it's been so long that I don't even remember what was the first brand collaboration that happened. So I think from the perspective of blogging itself, going on a trip like that to Thailand, which was very interesting for me because I was like a travel ambassador, and I'm representing India, and I'm going to Thailand and visiting the places and talking about it, which for me at that time was very cool. It's not something that I expected that I'll be doing, and I think that is what attracted me towards it. I was so excited about that opportunity, and I thought this is like a dream that is coming true. And a few years later, I ended up going to Indonesia with Indonesia tourism as well, which was again so cool. Like I went on a diving trip, scuba diving trip, and this was a liverboard where you actually stay in a boat and then you go on multiple dives. And this was to an island in Indonesia called Labuan Bajo. And this is where there are these Komodo dragons and there's this Padar Island. And you see the pink beach. So it is from that region in Indonesia. So yeah, that was pretty cool experience for me. And I was the only Indian in that group. So there were other bloggers from all over the world. There were people from Germany, US, uh, and a lot of other places. So it was for me a very cool experience. I got to meet people from travelers from different parts of the world. So yeah, these kind of experiences made me realize that okay, this is something interesting, and being able to do that is definitely a privilege, and I don't take that for granted. And being able to live in this generation where we can have opportunities like that is very special.
Yeah, of course. It reminds me of the first collaboration that I did as well. So I started my journey in the skincare world, and it's interesting that I had no idea how to negotiate the rates and what is a going rate. For example, if you have a YouTube channel with 10,000 followers and at least 2,000, 3,000 people are going to look at the video that you create, I did a barter collaboration. That was my first one for a product worth 200 rupees. I I still get goosebumps when I think about it. Like I could have used the entire time that I used to shoot that video for a 200 rupee barter collaboration, do something else. But it's interesting, how it is very important to not only realize that the content that you create, but also negotiate your rates, but also ask for better money, but also identify which brands align with your value and which ones do you want to bring up in your journey. So thank you for sharing that. And on the same page, Raksha, right, what are some things in which you decide that this is how I'm going to charge or create my rate card or media kit when you go to the brands?
Yeah, I think it's always difficult, and I think you always need to be okay that there will be a lot of brands who will not be okay with your rates, and it's a call that you will have to take. I have let go of a lot of brands like that because they were not able to pay what I wanted them to pay. And it again, it comes down to is it something that you want to do, right? Is it something uh, it's okay if you're doing it one time, but again, you do not want to set that expectation with a brand saying that this is the price that you'll be working for. So those are some terms that I think people need to be ready saying no to brands if it doesn't align with them or if the price doesn't match. uh, Again, and because it's such a unregulated field, it's hard to say the price for every content creator, and it also depends on the niche that you belong to, right? So business, finance usually are higher, and something like comedy or other forms of content creation may be a little lower. So I think you will have to start somewhere. Maybe charge like 5,000, 10,000 rupees. You start somewhere and then take it from there. And then you talk and network with people from your own niche and then figure out what the prices are uh, that you could offer and what is it that you're offering. And it's always good if it is like, say, instead of just providing a reel, you could package it in a different way. You could provide a reel and a story and a post and also maybe a YouTube video. So those are more valuable for a brand as well. And these different channels also reach out to a different people, right? So Instagram may reach out to a more younger crowd, and YouTube usually people watch it for instructional videos for something that they want to watch for a longer time, and it also builds trust, and it's a long term game. So I think it also depends on how you package it so that you can also charge more in that way.
I see. I think that's very interesting, Raksha. How I also do my media kits sometimes is that you have the price for the different deliverables or the work products that you can go one, two, three, four, but at the same time, package it all up, give a 20% discount, and you making money, and the brand is also thinking that they are getting a good deal, which obviously they are because the value of the entire package is much more. However, at the same time, also put in some freebies for the brand. So if it's a three-story package, maybe do four, right? And that's how the brands also start to trust. And at least in my partnerships that I've had in the past, I've found this way to be extremely effective and extremely useful. So any content creators out there, definitely the media kit is your go-to. You have to start, identify your deliverables, as Raksha just said, um, give it a price, and then run from there. I would always price it a little bit higher so there is room for negotiation. Because if you start at, 5,000, which is the price that you will go for, then there is no room for negotiation, right? So always keep that in mind. Um, okay, thank you so much for sharing, Raksha. I think that was very interesting. Now, coming to the question where you basically quit your job and moved into entrepreneurship full time, content creation is definitely a part of it, and traveling is, of course, a part of it. So, what did you think about in terms of your finances? Did you have any savings that you needed that you had to get to, like, I have to get to an X amount to start this venture? How much money is enough?
uh, Money is definitely not enough. Like you always need more and you want more. So again, I think it depends on the expenses that you think you're gonna have, right? And you can give yourself, like I would say, if somebody wants to pursue something else and they want to let go of their corporate job, you need to think about your expenses per month and then maybe give yourself 2 years, for example, so that you know that you may not be making enough money at the time. So you need to have enough savings to make sure that that part of your life is covered. So, say if your expenses are 50,000 per month, so in that case, for a year it will be 6 lakhs. For 2 years, it will be 12 lakhs, right? So yeah, something along that lines. You need to think from your expense perspective and what kind of life that you want to lead as well, right? Because you can always try to cut costs and save money and live frugally during this time. But again, there might be a lot of things that you want to consider. Like you need to let go of that freedom. To do other things. So, yeah, those are some things to consider. And at the same time, I think it's also a mindset shift. A lot of people, like including me, self-worth is always associated with the money that you make. But what if you're not making money? Then what do you think about your self-worth? You need to operate from a place of abundance and not from a place of lack. Because when you're creating something, it always has to come from a place of abundance. In only then it actually will make a difference and will impact other people, right? So yeah, those are some things that you need to think about, I would say, if you're considering doing something else apart from your corporate job.
Okay, I think that's very interesting, Raksha. Did it ever occur to you that I want to go back to corporate job? It's just out of curiosity that that life was better. Maybe there's still money coming in. I can take some sick days off. I don't have to continuously continue to think and continue to make money because now I am the only source of my own income, but maybe rely on the team for a while, take a 2 weeker and rely on the team. And did it ever occur to you?
I always thought that I will go back to corporate if things doesn't work out, and I always think doing corporate job is easier. Like I have everything sorted, and I know that what I need to do, and you can take sick days like you said, and there's regular income coming every month, which sorts out a lot of things. But at the same time, I think for me. What's important is having the freedom to try different things and work on different things, and that gives me a sort of satisfaction. And that is what yeah, so that is why I'm here. But I always think corporate life was so easy, maybe I should go back sometime.
Yeah, it's right now you can go to hot yoga at 10 a.m., right? And nobody bats their eye. But now in a corporate, like you have to be wherever you have to be, at least from a 9 to 6, most of the times 8 to 7. So that's just a transition and freedom, definitely for the I would say stable income that continues to come in. Yeah. Um, So for you, it was worth giving up a stable corporate job for content creation. Is that an accurate statement?
I wouldn't say content creation as such because I wanted to try different things. For me, corporate job was mostly related to coding, and I was a computer engineer. So that was my corporate job, and I wanted to try different things. So I also ended up working in a digital marketing company, which because I wanted to understand marketing from a professional side. Because when you're thinking from technical side, it's always, you're deep into it, you're into the details of it, but you don't think about the bigger picture. So I wanted to understand from that perspective as well what it's like, the psychology, what really goes behind marketing. So yeah, I worked in a digital marketing company, and that kind of helped me understand better about the social media and different aspects of the marketing, internet marketing or digital marketing. And I think that is also helping me now in my current venture, Open Sky Circles, where we are trying to build a community of like minded people who are misfits and rebels. And we want to host retreats like all over the world. So that is the idea behind it. So I think that is kind of helping me now. I can see that it is adding value. Yeah.
So when is your next trip coming up, Raksha? We'll try to do a description and people can look up and join you.
Yeah, sure. So the next one is coming up in May, and that is to Dandeli. And after that, we have in June for Sri Lanka, which is going to be a scuba diving trip. Because my friend, my partner, and I, we are both scuba divers, and we wanted to take people on that experience where they can go scuba diving for the first time. And because I feel underwater world is so special, and not a lot of Indians do explore it. So I thought we should do something like that to give people the opportunity to experience the magic of the underwater world. So
Yeah, and this is for both men and women, right? It's a mixed group that you will be taking along.
yes,
Yeah.
that's right.
So
Yes.
for the audience, everybody is welcome to apply to go to Sri Lanka with Raksha or Dandeli if you can't swim like me. I would go to Dandeli. Or maybe, stay at the resort, have some drinks while all of you guys go scuba diving.
Yes, we would love to host you, Shivi. You would be really cool.
Yeah, of course. Okay. So now we talked about a few aspects of financing while you start your entrepreneur journey or your content creation journey or whatever part you started to take. Do you think you're less stressed now compared to when you were doing your full-time job? Or what are the pros and cons of a job versus, a full-time venture like this?
uh, Stress wise, it's hard to say, but yeah, definitely, I think having a corporate job, a lot of things are already taken care of. You have structure in your life, and you have a stable income coming in. So that those parts really are the pros. And like you said, you can take sick days anytime you want. You have a set number of days that you can take paid vacation days, right? So those are definitely the prawns of corporate life, and you also get to meet people uh, almost if you're going to work, so on a regular basis, right? So I feel if you are doing a venture on your own or content creation or entrepreneurship, it's mostly a lonely journey. So you need to find people who are like-minded, who are also in the same path as you, because sooner or later you will realize that it's quite a lonely journey. There's a lot of things that needs to be done, and a lot of learnings as well. Like if you want to be a content creator, there's so many things that you need to learn, like how to shoot and how to edit, and even presentation skills, writing, uh, and marketing it, and understanding different social media channels. So there's always constant learning that you're doing, and it's something that you're doing alone. So it's always nicer, and you can learn faster as well if you are part of a group, or if you meet somebody who are in the similar journey as you. So yeah.
I think about this a lot, right? Like if I don't create a video, then it that video is not getting made. There's nobody else doing
Absolutely.
it, and that's if you don't do the work, then the work is not getting done.
Yeah.
So that's why I love my corporate job because I just came back from a maternity 4 month full time. It was amazing.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you are doing amazingly well, Shivi, with having two kids and managing a corporate and doing content creation. I don't know how you do it all. It's amazing.
Thank you so much, Raksha. You're too kind. Okay, so now you talked about having income while you start to pursue different things, or well, having a little bit of savings, right? You gave an example of 50,000 per month. That translates to roughly 12 lakhs for 2 years, and after 2 years is when you'll start to think that you'll make money. Is there a way for us to start this as a side hustle? So if somebody was to start, say, content creation, and that's the primary thing that they want to start at as side hustle, what is going to be your top three advices for them to be successful in terms of starting to really replace their income in the next, maybe say a year, and then that gives them a little bit more cushion to build something after quitting their job?
Yeah, so that's a great idea. I think it's always nice to do a side hustle when you're already working in corporate because it will also give you room for experimentation and you could also invest in your startup or content creation. I would say, like anything else, you need to start with a problem. Who is your client? Who are you talking to? What is the problem that you're solving? And content creation is great and it will help you stand out, but at the same time you need to realize that there's a lot of content out there, so how is it that you're going to stand out from the noise? So doing market research, what kind of content people are putting up in a particular niche that you want to talk about or you want to solve problems in. So those are very important things. So I think doing research is important. A lot of people get into things and then they try to shift and try to move to something else. So it will help you if you do your research and it will help you stand out as well, I would say. Um, Apart from that, there are so many avenues now to make money. So, uh, if you are doing educational content, you could always put up courses that on the course websites, right? Like Udemy or Coursera or something like that. And then you could charge for that courses. So the content that you're creating would be educational and you are helping people solve their problems. At the same time, you will be like, hey, there is this course that if you are interested to watch a longer video or if you are interested to learn more about this. So that is one way that people can monetize. People can provide consultancy services where if you are an expert in a particular topic, in that case they could provide that service for somebody else, right? It could be one-on-one or it could be a group session. So uh, I think the basic idea here is to understand what is it that you want to do and understand different areas of monetization and move towards that. So if you have that plan in place, okay, I will create videos to do more like education based marketing, where I'm educating my audience about the problems that they have and the solutions that they might need, and then move towards other avenues like consultants, or it could be courses, or it could be affiliate marketing. So there are a lot of different avenues like that. So I think being clear on what is it, the niche, and what avenue that they can pursue. So I think that will be a better way to go about it.
It's very interesting, Raksha, because now the educational content, at least on my feed, maybe it's just my feed is biased, but I see a lot of educational content showing up on Instagram as well. And I know that YouTube is famous for their instructional sort of video where you can put something like this at the background and you can continue to listen to it while doing your other
Yes.
work. But now that thing is coming to Instagram as well. So definitely a very interesting take on how you can monetize not only via, say, brand partnerships, because that's the main source of income and has has been for so long, like we are in 2024. But of course, there is a way, direct B2C as well, where you can reach your client as well, provide your coaching services, provide your services to make their lives a little bit
And the
better.
best,
So,
sorry,
th-
and the best part about this is that you don't really need to have a big following. So you just need to have a few clients that you're working with on a regular basis in order to make money. So it's not always about growing your following and making money through sponsorship. So these are other avenues where you could make money.
yeah, I know so many people who have limited following, right? Not too much, but their following is really high quality, and people who really want to change their lives and like transform themselves. So they are able to spend that money because they see that benefit in terms of their lives and working with a coach. So thank you for sharing that. I think that's very interesting. And coaching itself, the educational videos that you talked about, can be in multiple fields in the life. There are parent coaches because new parents, right? There are, of course, Instagram coaches and marketing coaches that can enable your growth into the Instagram world. Then, of course, there are study abroad coaches, like I do dabble in study abroad. So, really getting your statement of purpose in order and so on and so forth, right? Moving to a different country, I know a lot of people doing great work, really identifying avenues to move to Europe if people want to do so. Uh, those are very, very interesting. And coaching is not one size fits all. It's almost like you have to find the problem that, as a client, the problem that you want to solve, and then find the right coach and then who can give you results. So, definitely, thank you so much for sharing that. So now moving on, we talked a lot about financing. Now I want to talk about your journey as a solo creator. So how did that start, Raksha? Because I'll give you my understanding. I saw your first post, I think on Quora, where you traveled Europe 3 months solo by yourself. So talk to me about how did that happen and what did you do and how was it?
Yeah, I have always wanted to do something like that where I'm traveling for a longer period of time. And that was my first venture into that, traveling for 3 months in Europe. So that was the decision was between Europe and South America, but South America was more difficult and quite far. So I decided to go the easy route and ended up going to Europe because I've been there before. So I kind of knew what to expect and what it's going to be like. So yeah, it wasn't really planned, I would say entirely, but there were a few places that I knew that I wanted to go. So, for example, in Slovenia, I did a volunteering program for a week, and in Estonia, I was staying. In someone's a local's place, and in Portugal I had another volunteering opportunity that I was doing. So my travels were mostly around these, like I kind of mapped around these places so that I would be there in these places during that time. And I also had that sort of leeway to maybe check with the locals, check with other people who are traveling during that time, and figure out what they are saying, taking in their suggestions. So it was mostly like a rough route, and then I ended up also doing things that I found from other places, from other people. So yeah, it was quite an interesting experience for me. For me, I think it was like a rite of passage, even though I was almost in my late 30s at the time. Uh, because coming from a middle class family, I would say I was quite sheltered growing up. So going on a solo travel experience like that was very transformative for me. Yeah.
Sorry, you said late 30s. I think you meant
Late
late
20s,
20s.
yeah.
So, and definitely, right, that's where a lot of us are trying to find ourselves as well, because 25 is where your education is done. Now there are no tests to look forward to, no
Yes.
nowhere that you can get 100 on 100. There's like no goal, right? And you almost going to office and then coming back and you start to think, what is the next thing that I want to do? Like, what next? I think that's what keeps us going as humans. What's
Yeah.
next? And definitely finding that in such a beautiful way is very, very interesting. Now, the volunteering that you did, Raksha, you were on a Schengen visa. That's how you were traveling, and volunteering is almost like allowed on a Schengen.
The
That's
problem is
how.
it's not too clear in terms of what. volunteering means, and it also depends from country to country. So it's really hard to say. So need to check. There are few countries where volunteering is illegal almost, like in places like Indonesia. So apart from that, it is possible, but it is not something that I would say a visa, someone who's actually approving the visa would like, because they would also want to make sure that you are coming back to the country, because a lot of people that I met along the way, they were also working for money, which is not something that you can do on a Schengen visa. So there are a lot of these aspects to consider. And there are countries also that offer volunteer visa. So in that case, the process is pretty simple and straightforward, but in other cases, it's a little tricky there. Yeah.
It brings me to passport privilege. It, I always think about this a lot, right? So if I'm talking about this to say somebody who has an American passport or even say a UK passport, right, or Canadian passport, it will just be so easy for them to quit their jobs, right? Go. And there are provisions for these passports to also be able to work for money if they would like for maybe a shorter duration of time. So you can actually fund your travel as you travel, right? And then it's not about, oh, I have to save, how many lakhs of rupees for the next 2 years because I will not be able to make money. But at the same time, these folks who are traveling as well can be doing small jobs at a grocery store or at the petrol pump and just making enough cash. So, yeah, I met somebody when I traveled to Alaska, and they were serving me in the breakfast area, in the brunch area, and then they say that, oh, I just come here every summer. I just pick up this, the role of a server, but then I'm here maybe 4 hours, and I just go and travel Alaska in the entire summer. And I thought it was so cool. You make some money, but at the same time, you fund your entire 4 months, 5 months that you want to stay there. So,
Australia, it's there is this working culture where they have this working visa where you could do things like this, like the volunteering and stuff like that. And yeah, you work in a farm or a winery or something like that. And there are a lot of students who do that. Like after education, they go on like sabbaticals and do this, which is such a different culture, because in India, you are not encouraged to do that, or it's even possible. It's very hard for us to do it. And the mindset itself is different, because I've met so many of these Americans and other privileged country, visas. And they all have, they can just take a flight, book a flight, and then arrive at an airport and then start figuring out other things. We cannot do that. We always think from a visa perspective. It's always, do we get visa for that place? And then we start thinking about how do we go there and the logistics part of it. So yeah, I have met so many people, and I always think about this privilege, passport privilege. It is a huge thing. Yeah.
yeah. You have to plan 3 months in advance. So right now, if I want to travel to Europe in July, I would have to start planning right now because I need my Schengen visa to be approved in time. And you might or might not get an appointment even in the next 2 months, right? And your entire trip has to be set. So just something very interesting that we as Indians continue to think. The first thing that we see, visa on arrival, chalega yahan par, that's that's the first thing that we check out. Yeah. Okay. So now, and I know that you talked about, Raksha, that you were also living with the locals at one time in your Europe trip, and um, also that you chose Europe because it's a little bit easier and a little bit, I would think, safer in terms of also traveling as a solo woman. So, how did you develop the courage, and also coming from a sheltered family and being with your parents for a while, right? And that's where I think majority of us girls are, that we've spent so much time as sheltered, where we have people doing things for us. Like if you want to set up something at home, furniture, bhaiya aa jayenge, bhaiya will set up, right? Like you don't have to do it yourself. So how did you develop the courage to really take your first solo trip?
I think it was like I knew that I was coming from a sheltered background, and like a lot of Indian middle class, kids. It's always like that, right? Moving from your parents' family to your husband's, and then move in with your husband. So there is no place for women usually to explore and try new things, and it's not encouraged upon. And it only happened over time. Like a lot of people, I did not find. I wanted to travel quite frequently, and I did not find people who were ready to travel as frequently as I wanted to. And also, you need to make sure that you have a good company when you're traveling, so you cannot travel with just about anyone. And over time, I started traveling, and then I realized that I do end up meeting people as well. Solo travel doesn't mean that you're alone, but you also end up meeting people, and more often you meet people from different backgrounds and different parts of the world, which makes the experience all the more enriching. Because you understand from their perspective, and even when you meet locals, right? It's always very interesting because there are a lot of these beliefs and belief systems that we have as Indians, which is quite different in other places. So, and we all have our own truths, and we think they're universal, but some things we realize are some things that we have in our mind, but it may not be applicable for everyone. So, yeah, those are pretty interesting things that I like when I'm traveling solo.
Thank you so much for sharing. And I think, of course, to your point, really understanding where you are going is also important, right? Right, being cognizant of staying away from places that can be dangerous is a little bit given in terms of traveling alone,
Yeah,
and that is a precaution that we take even in our
yeah.
day-to-day lives, right? So it's definitely something to remember. Okay, so now we have covered almost a lot in terms of financing your content creation journey or entrepreneurship journey as transitioning from a full-time role. We also talked about traveling alone and solo traveling and how do you build courage and how do you ensure that you're staying safe while you're traveling alone. So we will get to now the relationship building part of it and the marriage part of it because a lot of it is going to come and it's a part of life and really balancing all the pieces together is very very interesting. But before we transition to that, I would just go over quick rapid fire. So I would like you to say the first thing that comes to your mind,
Okay.
and yeah, and that would be the answer.
Sure.
Okay. So coffee or tea,
Tea,
fame or money,
money,
the most important thing in your life,
freedom,
the most important person in your life,
my husband,
mountains or beaches.
beaches,
What is the movie that you're seeing right now or recently?
Big Bang Theory, TV show.
Okay. What's your regular Starbucks order?
uh, Hazelnut latte, usually.
And what's your favorite book?
Currently, I'm reading Franz Kafka, Metamorphosis, which is interesting.
Okay. And what's your motto in life?
Live the life that you want. Don't worry about anything else.
The last one. If you could go back to the 21-year-old Raksha and tell her just one thing, what would you tell her?
It's okay. You could try different things, and your life is gonna turn out okay. Don't worry.
So many people must have wanted to hear that, Raksha. Thank you so much for sharing. Now, Raksha, you gave up your job in corporate and moved to a very non-traditional career path, which requires for a lot of traveling, right? And a lot of going around places and meeting new people. So, talk to me about how did you end up meeting your husband and what was that like? Talk to me a little bit about that.
We have mutual friends, my husband and I, and that is how I know him. My ex-colleague, uh, my husband Monty is his friend. So he used to come for our get-togethers, for weddings, and because of our mutual friend. And I have known him for a very long time, and I think I knew him for like 4 years before he asked me out. Uh, so yeah, I think in 2019 we started dating, and that is also the same year where I went on my 3 month Europe trip. So yeah, that was interesting, and I think going on that Europe trip also made me realize that this relationship can work because a lot of people uh, they don't like long distance relationships, and a lot of things can come up in long distance relationships, right? Like, for example, when uh, like when I am ready to talk, the other person may not be ready to talk. They might have other things going on, and a lot of these communication problems and stuff like that, which can be a deal breaker at times. But it just went so smoothly for us, and there were a lot of people that I used to meet during that time as well. And I realized that my husband is not someone who is currently my husband, but at that time, my boyfriend is not someone who is jealous type, and that was important for me because I cannot be with someone who is always trying to tell me what to do, and I want to be able to make my own decisions, and having that trust is very important in the other person, and over time in that 3 months I realized that okay, this relationship can work. And after coming back from that trip is when I actually proposed to my husband. So yeah.
So you propose to your husband. That's how
Yeah.
it's a different.
Yeah.
Yeah. So interesting. Yeah. And you got married then at the time of COVID. That's
Yeah,
when.
pretty much. Got married during the peak of COVID. So most of our friends
Wow.
did not turn up for the wedding. No one turned up for the wedding. From my side, it was mostly
I
my
see.
parents and the driver.
Mhm.
Even my brother couldn't show up. So it was a very interesting wedding. Something that I always wanted, like a small, intimate wedding, but I did not
Mhm.
expect it to turn
Yeah.
out that way. So, yeah.
Okay. And talk to me about your husband does a full-time job, right? And he works in the corporate, and then you so far now you have started your a different venture, which is more technology based. But when the time where you were focusing on the traveling bits of things, um, your husband must not have gotten a lot of chances to travel with you. So how did that equation work out, or how did you balance that aspect?
Yeah, so it was quite clear from the beginning that he won't be able to travel all the time with me, and there might be some times when he's free and he is able and willing to travel. But other times, I knew that I will have to travel on my own due to work, or if I want to take personal travel, so maybe sometimes solo travel. So I think that expectations was already set. So transitioning from dating to marriage did not really change much. Our life is pretty much the same like it has been before. And having that call, like we had talked about this before, and he is someone who encourages me all the time to travel. We are pretty independent in that way, and that is what works for us. So yeah, I'm pretty happy to have a partner like him, because I always thought, and it comes from I think the upbringing as well, that my parents always told me that I need to compromise when it comes to wedding or marriage, and it's not always going to be the way I want. But fortunately for me, I did find someone who was as rebellious as me, who had his own way of doing things, who did not believe in what society tells him to do, just like me. So, in a lot of these things, I think foundationally we are quite similar, and that is where we connect. And we, of course, have different interests, and we give each other the space to pursue those interests irrespectively. And there are, of course, times we travel together, and it's always special for me because I get to show him places that I have been to, and he can see it from my perspective. And it's always special for me to show him these places. And because he's also very open minded, and he is willing to learn and experience different things, it's always easier for me to travel with him. But yeah, it's not a problem that I am traveling on my own, because it has always been the question in my family and in general in society, that maybe I'm fighting with my husband, and maybe that's why I'm traveling on my own, but that is not the case.
It's so interesting, and thank you so much for sharing. And it's such a different perspective that both of you complement each other so well that, both of us have separate you, but you also have both of you together in the story. And that's such a beautiful way to live
Yeah.
life. So, what was the recent trip that you took with your husband where you were very excited to take him and show him around?
Uh, the recent trip that we went to together was Kashmir, but it was mostly like a
Okay,
family trip, and I haven't been there. But
I see.
the last trip where we went to, where I have been before, was Central Asia, Uzbekistan. So Uzbekistan
Mm.
and Kazakhstan,
Okay.
which I was traveling for 2 months on my own, and then he kind of joined
Mm.
me for 2 weeks, and then I showed him around to the places that I have been to. So yeah, it was like that. And even our London, UK trip was pretty fun.
Mm.
Yeah.
Do you need visa for the Central Asia trip or it's a visa on arrival?
Yes. So Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, and Kyrgyzstan, they need e-visas, so
Mm.
you can apply it online.
Okay.
And Kazakhstan is
Okay.
visa free, so you don't need visas to go there.
Good. So all of you can plan the trips to these places. It must be very hot right now there, no? Or what's the best time to
So
visit?
soon, actually, in May, June,
Okay.
it's gonna be a good time to visit.
And hopefully you're planning with your Open Sky Circles a trip to Central Asia sometime as well. If not this year, maybe next year. So
Yes.
I'm sure people would love to join you there. And also, I think it's a different place. I've never seen anybody visit those places. I think you brought it in vogue from India to travel to these places. All the time I'm seeing Dubai, Singapore, Vietnam now
Yeah,
up and
yeah,
coming, right? Sri Lanka, of course, has been
yeah.
there. But Central Asia was my first
Oh,
where
really?
you went. And I was like, oh, Raksha went to Central Asia. And it is so pretty, like the architecture and everything that you show in the video, and we'll link it somewhere. But the architecture is really, really
And
pretty
it was
and
quite
would
safe as
love to
well.
go there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they love Bollywood,
Oh,
right? That's what you said in one of your
yes.
videos.
They love
Yeah.
Bollywood, and that is so endearing when you meet locals there, because people are so friendly. The moment they see you, they realize that you are Indian. They start talking about they start naming celebrities, Bollywood celebrities, Shah Rukh Khan, Amitabh Bachchan, Raj Kapoor, Rishi Kapoor, Mithun Chakraborty. So they are so crazy about Bollywood. They know more about Bollywood than me, and it's always fun to meet them, and it's so endearing because people are so warm and welcoming, and that is the you realize when you after you go there, because most of the time when you see on social media or media in general, they are mostly talking about the bad things or something bad news, right? But when you go to these places and experience it yourself is when you actually realize that stereotypes doesn't hold any merit, and people are so warm and welcoming, and those are some things I think people realize only once they go to a particular place and they experience it themselves.
Definitely. And was it affordable, under budget, or compared to your Europe trip, like what was the budgeting like?
Yeah,
A little bit better, more
it's very
affordable?
affordable. Yes, Uzbekistan is it has one of the cheapest currencies. So even
Mm.
having like $10, like $100 is like you're a millionaire there. So it's pretty much.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so and
Yeah.
it's quite affordable in this region, especially. Uh,
Hmm.
like Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, all of them are, and it everything
Hmm.
has a different aspect to Uzbekistan is more about culture, and Kyrgyzstan is about
Yeah.
nature, and
Hmm.
Kazakhstan you Kazakhstan is so huge, and it's a massive
Yeah.
country. So, and I did not realize that like most people think Kazakhstan is like what Borat says, or he is from there,
Yeah.
right? So they have that picture of Kazakhstan, but only when
Yeah.
once you go there, you realize it's so developed. It's so good.
And it's kid friendly, like can I take both of my daughters, and then
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So they are mostly family oriented, and a lot of places you can
Hmm.
pull your strollers around. So
I
it's
see.
not gonna be
Okay.
a problem.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much for sharing, Raksha. I think I'll put that on my traveling
Yeah.
list. As I have such a long traveling list. And it was great having you on the podcast today. Thank you so much for sharing all of the important aspects of really transitioning from a full-time job to doing other things. And then, of course, now you've started your own tech venture and then your own open sky circles where you are bringing in communities for solo traveling and creating that network. And I think that's truly amazing for of course as a business owner as well, where you will create this, make this into something which is more meaningful, something which is more tangible, and something which adds a lot of value to other people's lives and your life as well. And at the same time, the tech bites
Yeah.
that you have,
Raksha
Raksha
Bytes.
bites, right?
Yeah.
So that's also that's also very interesting, and thank you so much for sharing. um, I'm certain that our audience is going to love listening to this podcast. You can find Raksha using her Instagram. She has two. One is travel focused, one is tech focused, and then, of course, her YouTube channel will be there in the description.
Thank you, Shibi, for inviting me for this podcast. And it was really nice talking to you. I did not realize how the time just flew by.
Yes, of course. I think it's great having you, Raksha, and thank you for your time.
Thanks, Shibi.